This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. WFO, the Big Go pre-race show is kicking off. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it's Monday. WFO doesn't happen on Monday, and it does this week because we'll be headed to Indy on Wednesday for the Big Go, the biggest drag race on the planet. We're talking about the Dodge SRT U.S. Nationals, Indianapolis, Indiana. It's going to be huge, just like our pre-race show is going to be huge. We got them all calling in. They're going to be connecting from various parts of the country where some are testing and some are getting ready. And if you are a fan of NHRA drag racing, if you're a fan of motorsports in general, this is one that extends beyond. If you're a fan of sport, this is one that extends beyond the drag racing world, the biggest of its category. The Daytona 500, the Indy 500, the Super Bowl, the World Series, all of those things, they are what the U.S. Nationals is to NHRA drag racing. So settle in. We got a super show coming at you. We're scheduled to be joined by Brittany Force coming up not long from now. Brittany Force will be joining us on the show. In the meantime, though, I want to tell you about the people who make it possible for me to do WFO radio in this very special edition. For instance, we got people weighing in from all around the country, all around the world. Andrew's out there. Lonnie's out there. Kev from the UK is out there. What's up, guys? Steven is out there. Hey, Joe. Derek says WFO. Troy says, shout out for Monday motivation on our Patreons. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Art Morrison calls in chassis done. Abruzzi emails, trans is done. Having myself a great day. Way to go. Troy looks like he's working, getting it all done. We're going to have Matt Hartford on the show from testing. Hopefully, we're going to have Matt Smith on the show from testing somewhere. Hopefully, these are all hopefullys. It might just be me. Who knows? Nobody is trained to do WFO on a Monday, but we're going to do it. Oh, here we go. Let's see who's out there on our WFO line. You're live on the air. Who's this?
Hi, how are you?
It's Brittany. Brittany, you are live. We are live with the audience. The show has begun. I just want to make you aware of that. Are you ready for Indy?
Yeah, I am. I'm anxious to get there. We've come off a win back in Topeka a couple weeks back, and we're in a good place. We're sitting 2 in points, so I'm very happy about that, and anxious to get to Indy. Never won there. It's on the bucket list for sure. I think every driver's dream is to win Indy because it's our biggest race of the season. So that's ready to get there.
Yes. Well, and that's why you're on. This is the winner view from the Menards Heartland Nationals, a race that was so significant to you that, you got to double with your dad, but you broke through for a win in a season where you've been so strong with all these number one qualifying positions, but just like unpack all of that now that you've had a couple of weeks to really think about what it meant to get that win, to get back in the winner's circle, and to do it on the same day that your dad did it, which there's no guarantee that that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, that was huge, not just for, me as a driver, my dad and all of John First Racing. To have 2 teams in the winner's circle, that's a pretty big accomplishment. And, to be able to share that with my dad is something that's very special. I've been chasing that since I, started my career in 2013. And I didn't know if it was ever going to happen. It's just once you get out there and you see just how difficult it is. It's not easy winning these races, going, qualifying well and going 4 rounds on race day. It is tough. And then to try to be able to line that up with my dad's team, impossible. So the fact that we were able to pull that off was pretty outstanding, from all of John First Racing, something I'm very proud of.
Unfortunately, for the winner perspective of it, you've had a race since then and you did not win, but you did become the number one qualifier again, 5 in a row, a streak that we haven't seen since the Al-Anabi team did it. I guess it was 2012. That whenever you have a milestone like that reaches back 8 years, that's pretty amazing. What's going on with this team as you get ready for this significant race? Let's look forward to, clearly this would be the biggest win of your career. It would be definitely a statement getting into the countdown, a big win at Indy, but just, as your team is preparing for this race, to use an automotive analogy, are you guys hitting on all 8?
Absolutely. 100%. I think we are. our goal going into the countdown, which we're approaching the countdown. We're going into Indy and then the countdown takes off. Our goal was to be in the top 3, and we're right there 2 in points. We're right behind that number 1 spot. So there's no better place we want. Obviously, we want to be in that number 1 spot, but I feel like we will definitely get there in time. We need to keep building off, that Topeka win. We need to continue those number 1 qualifiers. Even if we don't get the win on race day, as long as we're going rounds on race day and, grabbing as many points as we can to inch us closer to get us to that number 1 spot. We're looking for wins. We're looking for number 1 qualifiers. We want all the points we can grab because at the end of this season, we want to be standing there with that number 1 on our car.
The intensity that you're bringing to this, it's been interesting to hear you make comments throughout the season about some things you are doing with your reaction times to try to always be better. I think that is very professional athlete of you. You watch these Major League Baseball guys and golfers and everybody that's at the top of their game and the highest level of whatever they do. They don't just sit on whatever has gotten them there. They are constantly trying to get better. It's my understanding that you've been doing a lot of work to keep improving. Talk a little bit about that, like the self-reflection to know, like, man, I got to stay on razor's edge here. I got to keep getting better no matter what it is. And 2, how have you gone about accomplishing that now that you've broken through for a win a couple weeks back?
I'll take help anywhere I could get it. I have no problem saying I could always improve in areas. Always, I could always improve in areas. And, I sit down and I talk with my crew chiefs. I sit down and talk to, my dad and Robert Height and, take advice from them on building on reaction time. How do I improve on that? I've read books. But really my thing is keeping my routine, keeping up with workouts, eating right, staying on I have a practice tree at home. I have one I travel with. I have one in my lounge, staying constantly on top of that. It's just a bunch of different it's a bunch of different things. And I believe at the end of the day, all those help me, performing on the racetrack.
On the sponsor side of it, I know you guys have been making a hard push also since the win in Topeka. We spoke with your dad and you guys went up and you did various, sponsor commitments, meeting and greeting, going to, bring Wallies to various places. And we're building to this crescendo that is the U.S. Nationals in the countdown. What has it been like this year, especially after last year, where you did, I don't know what you did. You did a lot of nothing. It wasn't drag racing because we were mostly locked down, and we know your situation, but it's got to feel like double the effort coming off of the 2020 season.
Mostly nothing, though. Wow. That was,
okay, that's not how I meant it. Oh my gosh. As I said it, I knew
how it sounded.
I'm sorry, Brittany, but you know what I mean? Like you elected to not race. We know that, and we know why. And I think it was a smart decision, but to not have the racing and now to go full throttle from one year to the next, it's just, to me, it would be a lot, or it would feel like a lot. You save me on this one, Brittany.
Well, let's see. The one thing I want to point out, taking that step back, last year, we didn't continue to race the rest of the season. And that was tough on, all of John First Racing. It was tough for me because my whole lifestyle that I've known my entire life, being on the road, being out at racetracks, wasn't there anymore. So it was definitely a struggle. It was not easy to, try to pick up home life and be home all the time when you're never used to that. So one thing I want to point out is when we did return, my entire team returned with me. And I think that speaks, I've said this before, it speaks so highly of who they are as individuals and their character. They stood by John First Racing. They could have gone and jumped on other teams, and they stood with John First Racing, waited the season out and then stepped back in this season. And the amazing thing is how strong we came back. I mean, it could have been, we're number 2 in points, and last season wasn't there for us. So I think that just shows that, John First Racing came back stronger than ever. I think a lot of it was we missed it so damn much that when we did get back, we were just happy to be out there. We were excited to be out there. It made us realize how much we truly love our job. We already knew that before, but when it kind of gets taken away from you, you realize just how much you love it. And it's our life. It's our passion. It's what we live for. So I think that's why our performance has been so well on the racetrack. We're just excited to be there with the team on racetrack weekend after weekend doing what, we do best.
What an impassioned answer to a slightly inartful question. I'm glad I asked it that way. It's
been ups and downs, but all my team, all of us, we love being out there. That is home for us.
Well, and that's what I think that people want to see. And whatever it is, like this sport, going back to the Driving Force days, I don't know how often people talk to you about that show, but it's got to be weird to have, what was it, like a year of your life or maybe 2 years kind of frozen in time for people to watch over and over again. And back then you weren't interested in being a driver, and now you love it. Mm-hmm. And you've won a championship, and you're a totally different person, as is everyone 15 years later after their teenage years. But just to hear how much you love it going into this big race, and that you're willing to fight, that all these guys on your team, you're all willing to fight, and you're in the fight, and you're fighting for what you love, race wins and championships, and you're getting them. And if you're a drag racing fan, like everybody that's watching and listening to the show right now, that's what we want to see. We want to see passionate people fighting for what they love to be the best.
Absolutely. We're all in for this battle. That is the championship. We are going to fight. We are going to throw down. And it's because we want it that bad. I know I keep saying it, but I'm really proud of the season we've had so far. Yes, a number of number one qualifiers. Yes, only one win. We've, obviously we wanted more than that, but we're 2 in points. And that goes in line with, our goal for this season going into this countdown. So I definitely don't think number one is out of our reach, and it's game on. We're going into Indy, and then the countdown begins, and it's game on. And I have a feeling it's going to be a good countdown.
Well, I love hearing you say that. And right. And nothing, here's another thing that might be inartful depending on how you guys choose to look at it, but nothing that happened before now really matters other than it was good or bad or helped you learn for what's about to happen. But you can apply everything you've learned up to this point, the good and the bad, to be better now and going forward. And if you are able to, everything matters now. And that's the whole point of having a countdown, right? Like a team that goes into the playoffs, figuring things out or working on stuff, and then they click and they go on to win the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about what they were working on. They care that they won the Super Bowl. Yeah. And that's the whole point of this system.
Yep. And that's exciting that we're going into that. It's crazy. This year flew by. It's unreal that we're already going into the countdown. It seems like it just went by so fast. But yeah, it's everything we've worked for this season, all our efforts, everything we put in, all our hard work. And it's been a lot this season, especially coming off not having a season. And now is when the real work begins. After Indy, we, lock our spot in and points reset. And now this is the beginning right here after Indy, countdown beginning.
Now, would you,
so we're just getting started.
Well, exactly. And I think that's what everybody needs to feel.
That's really what it is.
Everybody needs to feel that right now for the sport. Like we just, NASCAR, not to compare the two sports, but they crowned Kyle Larson the regular season champion, and that part is over. And now they're going to restart. And that's what we need to do in many ways. We don't crown a regular season champion, although that would be kind of neat, but we have our own method. So let's talk about Indy and the countdown. How are you guys going to get it done? I know that a lot of teams, and I know Grubnick is very, very well thought out and ahead of the game, many steps, right? Like, so how has the planning been going? Do you guys have you had conversations about each track that's coming up, or is it focus on Indy first and try to win the biggest race on the planet?
It's, I think, one step at a time. It's continuing what we've been doing. Sometimes you fight that urge of, the fear slips in. And are we pushing the car too hard? And are we going to go out and blow the tires off the thing and lose first round when we should be winning first round? Like those fears come in. So then it's those calls and those conversations and those decisions of, should we pull the car back a little bit? Should we play it safe? And then you could play it safe and you can lose that way. So it's a lot of mind-boggling, just trying to figure out what is the right move to make. Who is your opponent? Who are you racing? What are they capable of running? What are we capable of running? I mean, it is just it screws with your mind sometimes trying to figure it out. I don't know how crew chiefs do it. I really give it up to David Grubnick and Max Savage, because I think they've done an amazing job. But really, it's what we've learned this season. We've done the playing it safe and pulling back, and it hasn't worked for us. For us, we need to, like I always say, Grubnick likes to throw down every single run, not just those Friday night runs where it's best conditions. He likes to do it all the time, and we've learned that that's how we play the game. That's what works best for us, and that's what we're going to continue. We're going to continue chasing down those number one qualifiers and then winning race day.
I love that.
Grab points everywhere we can.
I love that. Well, that's your character. That's the character of your team. You can't be something that you're not. And the weather conditions late in the season at a lot of these tracks are going to be conducive to what your team's strength is.
Yeah. And Bristol, talking about countdown, that should be an interesting one. We've only done Bristol in June, I believe. Yeah, we're typically there in June. So
yes.
We're going to be there a different time of year. So it's going to be a whole new ballgame for everybody, all the drivers out there, all the teams.
You got me excited, Brittany. You got me excited in that, here we are. We're going, it's Monday, right? Monday of Indy week, but we got to kick it off with a bang, talking about your win. But to hear you fired up about the U.S. Nationals and the championship, knowing how strong an opportunity you have to go out there and win. That having been said, though, boy, the field is tough, right? The Capco team has been on top of the mountain. Someone's going to have to knock them off. You remember that game? I don't know if you played it as a kid, King of the Mountain, where it's just like a pile of kids and someone's on top and you got to throw that person down. Maybe that's an old world thing, but that's really what it is right now. And do you feel like, your guys are hungry? Everybody's hungry to be the ones to do it.
Absolutely. We are. Every team, though, is hungry. It's not just us. It's the whole reason every team is out there is because they want that championship. Antron is right behind us in points. He's, right there with us. We went back and forth between 2 and 3 a lot of the season we have. So it could come down to a number of drivers for this countdown. It resets in Indy, and you go right into it, and that's the crazy thing. And the crazy part is your points will be so close together, it could just change in a matter of one round, one weekend. You could go from the top to the bottom, and it's terrifying, but it's exciting at the same time. And it shows you that there is no screwing around. There's no mistakes. You got to bring everything you've got to the line every single run you make.
Love it. Brittany, thank you very much for getting us started here on our WFO Big Go pre-race spectacular. Congratulations on your win out there in Kansas, the double with your dad. And I'm just excited to get out there, to see you out there and go through this process, whatever it's going to be. We could never predict, but I know we're going to have a good time and you're going to put on a good show for the fans. So thank you for coming on WFO Radio.
Thank you.
And yes, I didn't think you did nothing last year. I'm sure you did something. I did nothing.
It was a little harsh.
I didn't. It was a little harsh, but I'm glad you called me out. Like, that's how it's got to be. You got to come right back at me when I do something like that. And you did, and I appreciate it. But yeah, we're all still a little scarred. You know who did nothing last year? This guy. This guy did nothing. So you're totally right.
I think we all lost our minds last year is what it really was.
We lost part of it. Yeah. So much so.
Yeah.
All right, Brittany. Thank you. But you're making it back now. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And we'll see you in a few days.
Okay. Bye.
There she goes. Brittany Force with us here on WFO Radio. Good to see Brittany out here, or hear Brittany out here on the show. And amazing stuff. We got Matt Smith next. Fans of Pro Stock Motorcycles, start building that audience, guys. But right now I got to tell, we've got Matt down there. He's ready to go. This is going to be his winter view from, I think, Pomona. So we got it all staged up. But right now I want to tell you about a couple of sponsors, including our special sponsorship for this race. Get this. Down in Australia, the folks at Torque Tool Calibration Services wanted to sponsor our Indy pre-race show. Matt Clark down there, they're a manufacturer authorized service center for all the leading torque wrenches and manufacturers. He has been a Patreon of our show. He wanted his company, Torque Calibration Services in Australia, to be a part of bringing the pre-race show for the U.S. Nationals all around the world. So if you're down there in Australia, think about Matt Clark, and we're going to put the link to his website up in the comments section, because this is truly an international sponsorship. He wanted to be a part of the whole NHRA situation. He wants to let everybody know, both here in the States, but both in here and in Australia, that, you know, drag racing is the true international sport between both of us, and even in the UK and others. And we might even get to see Matt a little bit later on in our show. But big thanks to Torque Calibration Services for jumping on board. Reach out to them, hit the website. It's up in the comments section, especially if you're down there in Oz and you need your torque wrenches calibrated, which is also pretty important. We had a great conversation, he and I, about that on our Ignition show. Like, people will spend not a lot of money maintaining their tools and risk all of their great hard parts that they spent so much money on. But also want to tell you about the folks at Total Seal Piston Rings. Friday at the U.S. Nationals at 1 p.m. Eastern Time in Matt Hartford's pit. This Friday in Matt Hartford's pit, there will be a free Tech Talk seminar going on with the folks at Total Seal Piston Rings and Rottler Honing and Machining. And I want you to be there. You need a ticket for the race, obviously. You got to get a ticket for the race. This is part so that you go to the race and you can participate in the Tech Talk. Who's going to be there? Ed Keebler from Rottler, Keith Jones, the Director of Technical Sales for Total Seal, and Lake Speed, the head tribologist. What are they going to be talking about? How precise cylinder bore surface finish makes ring seal perform better and faster. Plus, proper break-in procedures and ring selection for higher performance. That's all on the docket for you sportsman racers, for you Lucas Oil Series racers, stock, super stock. You're looking about technology. Maybe you're a pro stock motorcycle racer, doesn't use Total Seal. You're not as fast as some of the other guys out there. You might want to head on over to the free Tech Talk seminar, 1 p.m. Eastern Time in the Total Seal pit, going on this Friday, and I'll be there. I'll be the host of the deal, 1 o'clock. Also, samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, for all you aspiring engine builders, machinists, EFI tuners. We'd appreciate to have you call samtech.edu and get on board with their great program. Plus Marvin Rodak, rodakscoffeeandgrills.com, hot sauces and spice rubs, everything good. Marvin Rodak, 817-924-6821. Rodak is brewing up some cool stuff. You definitely want to get on that. And Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. They just did a whole Dragster Adventure Challenge for the folks at Mickey Thompson Race Tires. And they talk about that, drag racing for drag racers. They did Mickey Thompson Day out there in Norwalk. Pretty amazing. They can do the same for you and your team, your company, corporate-wide event, driving dragsters all day long. Think about that. FrankHawley.com. Big thanks to all of our sponsors. You can hit the WFO store, Nitro Fish as well. But now it's time to go out to another champion driver. He is Matt Smith. He is the most recent winner in Pro Stock Motorcycle. It just feels like a million years ago. He is also the champ and the defending U.S. national team owner with Scotty Polachek. What's up, Matt Smith? Welcome back. Are you ready?
We are ready, Joe. We are definitely ready for the U.S. Nationals. And my hands up, we use Total Seal rings in all our stuff. So that's all we use for rings in our motors.
You know what? I'm glad you say that. They're a big sponsor of WFO. And I've learned through the Hidden Horsepower podcast and interviewing a lot of different engine builders, we should get you on there. You're an engine builder, Matt Smith, and you use Total Seal. You'd probably know. Let me steal a little bit on it, but it just seems like the really fast guys use Total Seal.
Yeah, I mean, with the technology that they have in their ring package, and just Matt personally helping us with our piston development and all that stuff over the last 3 to 4 years. It's really helped us improve and cut friction down, and we've really gained a lot of power with it, and it's great stuff. I mean, we get a lot of runs out of it. So, like I said, that's all we use in all of our stuff.
Isn't that weird? You can go faster, you can make more power, and they also last longer. What else in the world does that?
Not a whole lot of stuff.
Right. And I learned from the Cup stuff, the NASCAR Cup stuff, like they plan for their engines to make the most power in the last 10, 20 laps of the race. Like, how on earth can they possibly do that? Now, you guys are doing a little different in that you need it to hold together for qualifying and then the final round. Who knows how you plan that, but it's just a miracle to me.
Yeah, we just want 1.75 miles. That's all we want to get out of our stuff right now, per race. Because with 3 qualifying passes and 4 runs on Sunday, if you do it, it comes up to 1.75 miles. So, hopefully that's what we get. And hopefully we can put one of these Denso bikes in the winner's circle at Indy.
Yes, exactly. Well, last year was an unbelievable U.S. Nationals. It'd be really tough to beat that. I guess if you win the final round, Scotty got the win last year. You were heavily involved, obviously, but I don't even remember which race we're interviewing you for your win, though. Was that Pomona? When was it? The last time we saw you guys, I remember commenting that it's going to be too long till the next time we see you. Was it Pomona?
Pomona, yeah. We're on here for a Pomona win. So, it was the Winter Nationals, which was # the Summer Nationals.
Yes. The Summer Nationals in the wintertime, or the Winter Nationals in the summertime. But you find yourself in another points battle. You've been the class of the field all year long, though. Let's face it. There have been some bikes, Eddie and Andrew coming on, and people have showed some sparks. Jerry, I think, is coming on. But from start to finish, going back to your championship last year, it seems like when you really need it, you can dial in a really strong run. How does that factor in now when you've got one race that you want to win so bad, the U.S. Nationals? You'd have to be considered the favorite. Maybe not by a lot, but definitely a favorite.
Yeah, I think first thing, let's throw out the, with Jerry and Angel, and I think Michael Phillips, who's on the entry list, our hearts go out to their families and all down there in Louisiana for what's going on. So everybody, please pray for them, and hopefully we get to see all them at the race at Indy this weekend. But
yes,
we have a great bike. We have a great team. Not only is my bike fast, Scotty's fast, Angie's fast. I mean, we've all had #1 qualifiers this year. We've all won races except Angie. And we're pushing to get her a win this year. But all in all, we just want to go and perform, and we're trying to set the pace for the field. And that's all those that I call that big black trailer. It was Harley Davidson for all those years. They always showed the pace for the pro stock motorcycle class, and we all strive to be that good. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We're striving to perform and do that, and set the pace for everybody else to catch up. And we know they can do it. And like I said before, I think the Suzuki's really have a good package to come on board this year and do good.
How is your approach different? Like, for instance, Angie's out there. What's up, Angie? Thank you for coming on there and giving him a little trouble. But she says it needs to be the pink Denso bike, and you guys can rotate it around. But how is your approach different for this one? We just spoke with Brittany, and you can't avoid that this is the granddaddy of them all, the biggest of the big, the U.S. Nationals, the one race that if you win it, it changes your first name from whatever it is to U.S. Nationals winner, whatever it is. And maybe that can, cause you trouble if you view it differently.
Yeah. I mean, I won this race a couple times. Got one time it got taken away from me a day later. But this is
part of that. And who is in the other lane? Oh man,
hobby racer Steve Johnson, right?
The rivalry is so deep. Everybody forgets all of those little tiny things stacking up for this great rivalry, which I know he's going to be fast too.
Yes.
I know it.
Yeah, he's got a great bike this year. Like I said, the Suzuki's have really stepped up their game, and NHRA gave them a bunch of stuff to make them competitive, and they're definitely competitive. They got to make 4 runs on Sunday, and that's been their downfall, is they're just not consistent on Sunday. But they are fast, but our bikes are fast too. It's this MSR Denso race team is we got 3 strong bikes, and we'll have a 4th bike out there this weekend with a new rider on our team coming on and seeing what he can do.
Who's the new rider? Can you tell us? Is this top secret or something? Come on, it's race week.
I don't know exactly how to pronounce his last name, but it's Charlie Poliski, I think is what it is.
Okay.
He's rode a Suzuki and all that, and we made a deal with him. He's going to run some races with us this year, and we acquired his Suzuki bike that he had. So we do now have a Suzuki bike in our possession with 2 Vance & Hines motors, and we're going to strive to to make that fast over the winter and maybe bring out a Suzuki next year and see what happens.
Wow. See, I love that. All right. So take the audience inside the mentality of getting ready for this race. And I like to draw analogies, you know, the Super Bowl, the World Series, the Daytona 500, the Indy 500, like the biggest moments you can really think of for any specific sport. And, you know, maybe the final round at the Auto Club finals with the championship on the line, like something you've experienced might be a better analogy. But as we're going into this, it's certainly the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500 are great analogies for our race here. So, you know, what does it take to win, Matt? Tell the audience, what does it take to win? Everybody, you know, you can't out muscle your competition in this. You can't get more hyped than they're going to get. It's different things. It's like riding this 4 or 5 day long energy to victory. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you just have to be one. You have to bring your A game. This race, everybody wants to win the U.S. Nationals, and I would say that this race is the number one race to be able to win. I'd say the second race is Gainesville for us because that's the first race of the year. Everybody wants to win the first race, but everybody wants to win Indy too. So I'm going to say Indy is, you know, the prestigious race because it's the U.S. Nationals. It's the biggest race, and that's what everybody strives for. That's like you said, that's our Daytona 500. That's the main race for you know, NHRA for this year. And of course we want to win it. You know, I would love to win it, but in a bigger picture, I'd love to see Angie win it. You know, Scotty's won it before, so I would love to see Angie win this thing and lock herself into the countdown. We're going to lose a big points battle either way we go at this race. So we're going to lose all our points after this race that we've acquired and start over. So we just have to be good for the last 5 races of the year, excluding this race. And, you know, that's where we've always been strong at, you know. But for the most part, you want to bring your A game to Indy. You have to be smooth. You have to be good. Your tuner has to be good. As a rider, you have to ride flawlessly, hit your shift points, get tucked, keep the bike in the center of the groove. And second of all, you have to have luck. There's always luck involved with everything that you do. And I always tell people I'd almost rather be lucky than good any day of the week at the racetrack because luck 9 times out of 10 will get you a round win. And, you know, you need those every now and then.
Yes. Luck, you know, what is it? Luck is where preparation and all of that come together. It makes perfect sense. But yes, you'd have a happy little household if Angie were able to win, right? Because then you and, you know, like when you have Scotty and Suze over for a little hangout, you could all bring your Indy trophies there.
Yeah, that, you know, that would be the sweetest thing in the world. We got Lisa coming in from Denso at this race this weekend, so she'll be there. So yes, it would be pretty awesome for us to be able for Angie to put that thing in the winner's circle. But, you know, we're not going to give it to her. We're going to try to do it ourselves, but hopefully one of 3 of these Denso bikes will be in a winner's circle.
She says, I hope my tuner shows up.
The tuner's always there.
Matt, this is great. I appreciate it. I can't wait to see you guys out there. I said it before, same with Pro Stock and Pro Stock Bike. Maybe it's just me, but it's not the same when you guys aren't out there. It's just not the same energy. We missed you in Brainerd, definitely. You know, the zoo, not like you're big going out in the zoo, but I'm sure you pop out there a little bit. It just, we could feel it, but now you guys are back for a bit, and we appreciate that. Can't wait to see you out there. Good luck in the U.S. Nationals. One way or another, and thank you for sharing a little time with us here on WFO.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be at the rest of the races this year, but St. Louis. So we look forward to seeing all the fans and everybody.
There you go. Thank you, Matt. Good luck, and we'll see you in a few days.
Thank you.
There he goes, Matt Smith with us here on WFO Radio. And we're just having it's going to be a super show here. Super show from category to category, from winner to winner. We're going crazy. We're going to have Dean Antonelli scheduled to come on the show. We're going to have Matt Hartford scheduled to come on the show. Maybe Steve Yantus, last year's Dodge Hemi Challenge winner. But right now, we're going to dive into a little factory stock showdown with our most recent winner on the tour. So fans of factory stock, share the show now, because here he comes. He won in Kansas, Mr. John Cerbone. John, welcome to WFO. How are you?
How you doing, Joe? Thank you for having me.
Great job with the background, by the way. Everybody loves seeing a race car in the background. Congratulations on that. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Yes. Okay. So you won out there in Kansas. It was a big breakthrough win. Let's talk a little bit about how you got here and who you are in that. I feel like you are underappreciated, undernoticed, even by me. Like, who's this guy hanging out with Delco all the time? This guy does a lot over there. Hey, this guy's driving the Sawmill auto sales car. This guy's driving a lot. With this guy. And it turns out you have like this very long and storied drag racing career. You're as addicted as anybody and making the most of every opportunity. You won the World Door Slammer Nationals. You just got this win. You're in the fight. How did you get into all of this?
I started out in the early 80s with just driving with the Flip Speed Shop. He has a little sponsorship for me, and he introduced me to Kenny Delco. And Kenny and I have been racing with Ronnie Capicella since the 80s, since the mid 80s, early 80s, maybe. And we've been running pro stock forever. I ran Competition Eliminator with Bob Benza. We ran our own stuff. I ran with a local team here with for Pro Mod. We won, I think, about 14 races in Pro Mod back in the 90s when Pro Mod was like really getting going and, kind of coming off the Top Sportsman thing. Then, I met Rob Falcone maybe, 20 years ago. He's been one of my best friends ever since. And, this whole deal with the factory stock, it was for Robert. This was his thing, his car. He was doing a great job with it. And he decided last year that that maybe, I should take over and just give it a shot and see how I can do in it. And we did okay last year. We kind of got our feet wet and found our way, kind of tuning with the car and stuff. And then this year we came out and right off the bat, we won. And a lot of that goes to Robert and Danielle, who prepare the car. They prepare it round to round. They do a great job, and they're like little machines. They do everything exactly the same way. They even push me out of the way sometimes just to make sure that they get everything their way, which That's is great. Yeah. So.
And you mentioned that win. I tried to upload the wheel stand video and I just couldn't get it up, the video in time. But the driving you've done, like there have been a couple of moments where it's a moment of courage, right? Like lift or not, and you stayed with it. Your driving experience showing through, and that's what it seems to be taking at these really high levels. I think of Aaron Stanfield, a couple of runs where it could have gone a different way, a less experienced driver. And from what I can tell, I know you do car chiefing stuff on Kenny's car and whatnot, but you'll do anything that needs to be done. But I feel like you're showing great talent as the driver. That wheel stand, talk a little bit about it. For those that didn't see it, unfortunately, I don't think any great video exists, like full-on Fox cameras, but it was one of the wheel stands of the year.
I think we have a pretty good video of it, which was on NHRA.TV, which was live, which was great. All my friends have it, and they keep sending it to me. But the car left. It left really good. It left a little bit high. We had been messing with the car a little bit, and it got up there, and it just started to climb. And I can feel it moving over a little bit, but it seemed like it was okay, and nobody was yelling on the radio, so I just kept going, and I shifted in the air, and it just kept going in the air. And then it came down, and I found myself a little close to the wall. So kind of just adjusted a little bit, and I almost had to lift because it was a little slippery out there on, way out close to that wall. But I was able to negotiate it back to the center, and, get it into third gear and get it on back down and get that win against Aaron, which was pretty good.
Well, exactly. Like someone can rival Aaron Stanfield, what he has been able to do. And I think that the showdown category is coming back from maybe a valley, right? Peaks and valleys. It's not all roses. And we did have a problem. We lost all the Fords. Looking at the entry list, the Fords are going to be back. We've been trying to get parity. I saw Chuck Watson post about local schedules and the Fords aren't protesting. It's just not working out for this year. Where do you think the whole category of Constant Aviation Factory Stock Showdown is? Because I can tell you there are a lot. We were doing a podcast, and the podcast is still going, Factory Stock Podcast. But when it kind of devolved into whining and crying, right? People talk about racing. When it devolved into whining and crying, it was like, oh man, everybody put their hands up, didn't want to be a part of it. We seem to be past it. As someone who's in the sport and in the category, what say you?
I think it's going pretty well now. I mean, it's starting to come back. The Fords are really fast. The Dodges, there was an adjustment and they're really fast. But we have a good handle on the tune-up and on the car. That goes to David Barton and Ray Barton, who's been they've been working on these things since the beginning. David was a champ, and this thing is a multi-time winner. So, lucky for me that Robert chose them to get the program off the ground, and we keep going with it. And boy, they're really doing a great job. And as far as rules, the parity is always going to be. There's always going to be something. When Pro Stock went to 10.5 RPM, it kind of, they say, well, it knocked out the Dodgers, it knocked out something, but you have to adjust. You remember we didn't run 11,500 RPM, 15 years ago. So, they can move back in technology a little bit and kind of grasp onto what they need to get going. And there's few cars out there doing that.
Interesting. Do you have Pro Stock dreams also? You see all kinds of race cars there in your personal shop, mentioning Pro Mods and everything. And you got, you mentioned Ron, who does great. And I think about Kenny's got a fast car, but you're showing your talent at the highest levels now. And I can't help but think, wow, what else could this guy do? Would you like to drive a Pro Stock car at some point, try to qualify? There are some people that have more cars than they have drivers, or certain situations where people are understaffed. Would you take that opportunity? I know the answer, but tell me about it.
Absolutely. I would definitely do it. We're thinking about it for next year. We have another car in the shop here on the other side. It's one of Kenny's cars. Ronnie and I may pick up on that and do something next year, just a few races. Maybe just kind of feel it out and see how it goes.
I love that. I love hearing that. I feel so good about where Pro Stock is and how healthy the category is. And we miss you guys when you're not there. John, great job. Your thoughts on winning the U.S. Nationals. So, yeah, I think we saw 24 cars entered, hopefully a couple more. But this is a little bit more of a marathon here. You're not going to get as many qualifying shots as some would have liked because of the large field. But, what's it going to take to win? Barton's going to be out there trying to win. We've got Tater is out there. Anthony Troyer, he's got a fast car. He's going to try to be a Cinderella story out there. What's it going to take to win this race?
Well, we're definitely afraid of Tater because he's coming on. And then we just saw, Lenny win yesterday in the NMCA race. Scott was in the final. These are all teammates of mine. Doug Hamp could win at any time. Jesse Alexandra, look at him, look how fast he is. So these are just all my teammates, but anybody in the qualified field could win that race. You could win from 16. They're all that good, and they all have that good equipment. So awesome. I really need to just get as good qualified as I can, or qualified at all at this point. With these guys, they're so fast, and everybody's coming on. I got a few Fords coming in, and they're real fast, and they showed how fast they were yesterday. So I think we're going to be okay. But look, David's going to be there. And he's going to give us the best car and the best motor and the best tune-up that we could possibly get.
Awesome. John, great job. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And we'll see you in a few days. And good luck this weekend at the Big Go.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. There he goes. John Cerbone with us here on WFO Radio, our Indy pre-race show. Hopefully you're sharing the show. I see Hartford starting to check in. Matt, you'll be up next. But right now, he is the crew chief. He is the defending race-winning crew chief with Jack Beckman, but he got switched all around, and now he's with Ron Capps, and he's got 3 Indy wins, and he's going to be doing a lot out there. His first WFO appearance. This is like me righting a wrong with the show, Mr. Antonelli. What's up, Guido? How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. I am great. It's a travesty that this is your first WFO appearance, and in front of the world, I wish to apologize because you're a character. You're a very knowledgeable, great guy character, willing to come on. In fact, years ago, someone in your family listened to the show when we were on podcast only, but I guess I've been waiting for the big moment. And this is it. How do you feel going into Indy?
Well, the funny car field is incredibly tight this year, probably the tightest it's ever been. The reset for the countdown is actually going to put more distance between us than what we currently have. So that tells you there's 7-8 cars that can win, and it's going to be a real dogfight.
Yes, exactly. So this has happened a couple of times, not only with you, but also with John Collins, where the defending race winning crew chief and team are with a different driver who is not the defending race winner. That is the case here with Ron Capps. You had Jack Beckman, who is a champion, who is widely considered one of the talents. And then you go to Capps, who is also, he is the winningest driver that's not named John Force. What has it been like going from one driver to the next? Capps has given us his version of this story. What is your version of it?
I've been real fortunate to be able to work with great drivers, when I was at Forces, and, Ashley was exceptional, very analytic driver. Courtney and Brittany, working with them and getting them going, like you see they're, turned out really good drivers. And then coming over here, you got, Beckman for the first 4 years, I guess it was. And he is, he's a character, his interviews and everything on TV are just a little touch of how he is like in the pit, and very informative and gives you information, and, looks at the run data with you and everything. I said, so he's pretty stout. And
excellent.
Capps, I've known Capps a long time. When he was back on Prim's car, putting that whole deal together, I think actually Robert Heightworth worked with him on the car 1 year or something before Robert went to JFR. But we used to hang out and do a lot of, partying and helping each other on the cars. John would allow us to help the smaller teams, because we need them out here. And so that picture you just showed, that was in Topeka during a rain delay, so we're maybe ribbing a little.
Yeah, well, and you had said something a while ago that it's almost like a family experience out there working with John Medlin. And I usually go to you for interviews but John is good too. I try to spread it around, right? You guys seem to complement each other. You're like this energy guy. You're not afraid to show your emotion. When you win, you're happy. There's a fist pump. You're very, it's, I think, the Italian coming out in you.
Yeah.
Medlin, he does his thing. He's not afraid to talk either, but talk about that relationship and like thinking about, that's Eric, of course, with Force, but John, Capps, you guys together. It's almost like this team was made to be, but at the right time. And this is, I guess, the right time.
Right. I mean, as far as John Medlin and myself, it's, I am more family with him than co-worker. Obviously we've been working together going on 25 years, so Eric was my best friend. We did everything together. And so, like say, it's more of a family bond between, the two of us. And then the group here, our group of guys, probably the best camaraderie that I've ever worked with. They do everything together. So it's more, again, like a family environment. Everybody has each other's back. They cover if somebody's sick or whatever. And of course, Capps, like I say, we were friends a long time ago. And we were very blessed, to have this opportunity, because I was thinking I was going to be standing in the unemployment line when nothing developed for Jack. And it's a godsend that Ron decided to retire, and it opened the door for our whole group. And so we've got a really streamlined program. It's basically the program that we've run the last number of years, and Ron came over to it. So he's such a skilled driver. I wanted to put everything like how he's used to in Tobler's car. And he's like, nope, I don't want to change anything. Your guys' car hauls ass. I don't want to change anything. But he's driven everything under the sun, so he can adapt so easy. He's awesome.
The break, he talked about that at the beginning of the year. Like at first it was like a mysterious big change. Like he didn't want to tell us exactly what it was until he kind of mastered it, but I didn't notice at all. And that's a huge change. And he also talked about Team Tractor versus Team NASA, and that you guys are Team NASA. Just talk a little bit about those two things. And, he obviously feels like you guys are willing to try new stuff.
Yeah, Medlin and I and our group here, we're not afraid to go outside the box and try stuff. And so Bernie Federley, used to talk about things, and he'd use a phrase quite a bit that, be careful you don't pick that ant poop out of pepper. And so that's kind of where the NASA thing comes from. Medlin and I refine everything pretty thin, so we do a lot of different things, and most teams, our service is probably a little bit more refined than a lot of people's, which unfortunately leads to a little bit more part swappage, because maybe our tolerances are a little tighter, so we'll take something out of service sooner or something like that. But it's a joke, because the Napa car under Tobler, he's more of a, run what will work, and if it's working, you don't change it. And so somebody said, you guys are like NASA. And we said, well, you guys are like International Harvester. You do the same thing, and it's like works awesome. But, yeah, I guess we are NASA.
I love it. No, I think that's great. That's a little insight into the team. But I'm having trouble figuring out that statement, the picking the ant poop. Do we want to pick the ant poop out of the pepper, or do we not? Like, I don't get that.
Well, you can get to where you're just spinning your wheels, right? So you need to make sure what you're doing is effective.
Got it.
That's what
All right.
Bernie would always say, make sure you're not going to get to picking that poop out of the pepper.
Wow. So and that's this thing about this sport, like the idea that you are worried about being on an unemployment line with your ability to do what you do. That's, sad and shocking, but it's also the nature of professional motorsports and entertainment. But just thinking about that, but you are not, and you're out there competing for race wins and a championship and funny car. But a couple years ago, you weren't. You won the U.S. Nationals with Ashley Force back to back. You're, I think, a 3-time winner overall. You've run it up a couple of times, but you weren't always an active crew chief. You came back to being an active crew chief a couple of years ago. You told me at the time, like, man, I just missed it. Like, you wanted the pressure. You wanted to be in the fight. You were helping John Force Racing win, and you were like, you tell us what you were doing over there, running the shop and, acquiring parts and all of that stuff, but it just wasn't what you wanted. And so you moved. I admire that. You wanted the pressure. You wanted to be in the fight. You wanted to compete for wins and championships.
Right. Well, I'm the kind of person that wants to tackle things head on. I think I'm fairly calm in pressure situations and try and think rational. And, John Force had asked me when some of the sponsors were leaving if I would step up and be the general manager of the whole program. And I would still go to the races, and I could work with Zippy and everybody, as far as crew chief and download the runs and make suggestions. But I got to do all that. And I did it for a couple of years, but I couldn't believe how much I missed it. And so there was nothing bad leaving John Force. Obviously, I worked there, I think, 21 or 22 years. And he was pretty shocked when I called him and told him I was going to be leaving. And he asked why, and I said I wanted to tune a car. And he said, well, I'll get you back on a car. I didn't think you wanted to. And I'm like, no, I already made a commitment, and I don't ask, for things. So I appreciate everything you've done. And I got an opportunity over here at DSR. Todd Okahara kind of recruited me a little bit, and Don was kind enough to give me a shot. So
well, it's amazing. And just talking to your guys on the team, I got to hang out with Pierce at the last race, and just seeing everybody, like there's young guys, they're fired up, they're cool, and they're ready to go into battle with Ron Capps, who's got this thing at the U.S. Nationals that I'm not going to bring up this year. But it's going to be interesting to see all these teams battle it out. As you know, we've seen the points lead swap with whoever has won the race. This is the closest year we've seen. It's right. The countdown is going to expand the gap. So yes. For those of you anti-countdown folks, this is a negative. I personally would like to see that be based on race wins. However many wins you have, you get that much advantage, as opposed to points position, which I think is less significant and important. But whatever, it is what it is. You'll be doing what you're doing. What's it going to take to win this race, and how do you approach the U.S. Nationals versus other races?
I personally try and approach U.S. Nationals no different than any race. To me, going 4 rounds on Sunday successfully is the same no matter where you're at. A couple of years back, I think 19, we went right down to the wire with Robert at Pomona, and it could have been an easy opportunity for me to choke and try and press harder than you could, but you just stay the game. If you look at everything that is equal, then you won't get your emotions caught up and make bad decisions. And that's the same way I look at the U.S. Nationals. Yes, it's worth a little bit more money. Yes, the last few years it's worth extra points. But if you do your job, how you've trained yourself to look at things, then I believe you're going to come out in the end better. So try not to put the undue pressure on yourself.
Well, yeah, this is the biggest drag race in the world, so I need to do something to make it better, except you've won races, you've gone fast, you've gone down the racetrack, and you might take yourself out of your game, get into your own head by hyping up the race to yourself. That makes perfect sense. Right. Dean, anything you want the fans to know about you guys, about the team? This is your first appearance on WFO, definitely not your last.
Okay.
but anything you want people to know? I think that, the crew chiefs, as much or more than the drivers, they're putting their heart, their love, their passion into it. The fans should know who they're rooting for.
Yeah. Again, I think we have the greatest group out here in field racing with our guys and team, the sponsors, everything. And the one misnomer I think that I'd like the fans to know, they always ask, like, well, what are you going to do in the off season? In the off season, we probably kick back, I don't know, to 60 hours a week instead of 75. We got to rebuild everything, build new stuff, usually work on the transporters and all of that stuff. So there is no real off season. It's just not you're hitting the gas for 11 weeks or whatever it works out to be. So it's is a 12-month, 52-week a year job, lots of hours.
Razor's Edge competition. That's the thing. This is professional motorsports, Razor's Edge competition. There are people sneaking in back doors of shops with technology and metals from Mars that you guys can maybe use. Listen, I think it's great. I wish you guys good luck. I appreciate you coming on the show. And you know what I always say, that you guys are actually the smartest family in all of drag racing, you and Kelly.
I appreciate that.
You guys always win. No matter what happens, the Antonellis win.
All right. Yep. We in our household, we obviously have a better chance than most teams because my wife works over at Ford still. So chances of winning are better than most.
Exactly. So, you guys always, the Antonellis always win. All right, Dean, we'll see you in a few days. Good luck. The big go.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Thanks.
There it goes. Dean Antonelli. Thank you, Dean. Appreciate you. Oh, there he goes. I got to do this. There you go, Dean Antonelli. And Hartford is next. Get ready, Hartford. Get ready. I want to remind everybody that you can subscribe to WFO Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts. The audio-only podcast is great when you're driving over the road or you're working a heavy machine or you're doing something where you need to pay attention with your eyes. And we've got great sponsors who are supporting our show, one of which is Total Seal Piston Rings and the Pro Stock Racer for said Total Seal Piston. I'm going to bring you on, man. Is this the look you want us to see? All right, here it is. Here it is. Hartford. At a test.
Mr. Costello, what are you doing?
We're doing a pre-race show, getting everybody excited and hyped up to talk about the U.S. Nationals. Do you want to talk about you can't hear me? This guy.
I can hear you now. Sorry. It's
all right.
We're in the middle of testing right now. So we're at St. Louis. We've already made 4 runs since 9 o'clock this morning, and literally in 3 minutes we're going to be going to the lanes to make the next run. So I definitely want to stop in for all the WFO listeners and everybody and say hello and how much we appreciate all the support from everybody.
All right, so we have 3 minutes. Is that actually 3 minutes? Because I can get some tough questions. Okay, what do you remember of last year's race? Okay, what do you remember from last year's race?
I remember that I lost, and I'm not real thrilled about that. I remember seeing that red car take the win light in the finals, and it still eats me.
Well, does it? Right. Like, this is the biggest race in the history of races. You made the final round. You came up a little bit short. It wasn't terrible by any means. You just got beat by Erica. But that's why you're testing, right? Like, you've tasted what it's like to go to the final at the big go, and now you're testing.
Yeah, we haven't really tested in the last several years. The thing is, all of us got jobs. So, myself at Total Seal and, Eddie and Adam, they both are building houses, and Chris at CIP1, running all that stuff. So it's really hard for us to come out and test. So this weekend, or today and tomorrow, they gave us 2 days of testing at St. Louis, and we're here. McGays are here, a couple pro stock bikes, a couple pro mods. So as quick as we can roll up to the lane, we can make a run, and we're trying to learn something. We're winning and losing by a couple thousandths of a second, or 1 thou and 6 thou and 1 hun. The left foot can only be so good so many times, so you got to make your car perform, and that's what our goal is try to make this car perform a little bit better.
No time for wasted time, no time for shaving, no time for any of that stuff. Get out there, hit it hard. But at 1 o'clock on Friday, there will be time for a little tech talk in your pit area. Talk about that. It's going to be special.
Yeah, we're going to have a great time. So Total Seal's putting on a tech talk, and we're going to have a tech talk, and we're also going to have Ed Keebler from Rottler there with us. And it's going to be open to anybody that wants to come. We're going to talk about honing, surface finish, piston rings, ring to piston fitment, all kinds of technology, the stuff that we've talked about in our podcast for, the last many years alongside with you. And Keith and Lake will be there, so it'll be good. And we're going to have a great time, and it's in our pit. So we'll be out there working on the car. Everybody can watch that while they're listening to some tech info. So we encourage everybody, 1 o'clock, start 12:30 or so, 1 o'clock, be over in our pit area. I think there's going to be a lot of people from what I hear. Hell, there might be one person. I don't know. Maybe we'll be talking just to you, but we're going to see. But let me just give you a little sideshow of what we're doing right now so everybody can see. So we'll just, there's KI right there from CIP1, Adam. Hey, we got Jason here, Racing Jason's here helping us this weekend. Yes, he does exist. See? Eddie over there is washing his hands because he's filthy. But this is where we're at today. This just gives you an idea. And Joe, I hate to be rude, but we got to go. We're going to make a run.
This was great. Go make a run. Take the car, take your phone, and put it in the car.
Thanks to all the fans for watching, and thanks for all the support to everybody, and we appreciate it. We'll see you in Indy.
There you go. Later, Matt. There goes Matt Hartford. Total Seal. This is exactly what I wanted. This is it. Teams testing for Indy, getting ready. It's going to be great. How about that? Appreciate Hartford weighing in. And yeah, while we're talking about it, 1 p.m. on Friday, you got to have a ticket to the race. That's the thing. You can't just come in for this tech seminar. Piston rings and cylinder honing. What's changed and why? Straight talk from the experts. Hartford, certainly one of them. And these guys down there, right there, Lake Speed, Keith Jones, Ed Keebler from Rottler. And I will be the host trying to keep everybody on track, right? But if you're a Lucas Oil Series racer, stock eliminator racer, you're like trying to get the most out of what you've got, you're definitely going to want to come by. Race fans are welcome as well. Maybe you're an engine builder. Maybe you're into that whole deal. By all means. Now, have we gotten rid of all of our guests? Have we talked to everybody? There's one that has not yet checked in, and it may or may not happen. But that's good news because we can wrap it up whenever we're ready. Look at Denise is out there. What's up? LOL. Monica out there. Busy week. All right, guys, put your comments in the comment section because I could pull the plug in any second. I did reach out, though, to Steve Yantus. And I said, hey, Matt, you're the Dodge Hemi Challenge defending race winner. Can you come on the show? And he was stoked, but now he's not answering. So let's see. Let's see where he is. And I'll do that while you guys put your comments in the comment section, and we'll get ready to get up on out of here and start our travel. Now, we will have Alan Reinhart tomorrow. And Alan is going to be joining us at a special and unique time. Alan will be joining us. It'll be approximately 3 p.m. Eastern time. The reason for that is Alan is traveling. And I also have something going on early on in the day. So it's going to be one of those deals. But Alan will join us from Lucas Oil Raceway. And when we finish that, that's it. It's on the U.S. Nationals. Great catching up with Dean Antonelli, obviously, Guido and Hartford. Love seeing them work, man. They're right out there. And yes, coming up short last year in his mind. Brittany Force started us right. Matt Smith, John Cerbone, which I love to see John in a pro stock car. That is going to be great. All right, let's see what everybody's got to say. Well, let me hit the sponsors one last time. Like Nitro Fish. Everyone get yourself a WFO Radio t-shirt at the Nitro Fish trailer. Go see Keelan over there. Go see Tamara over there. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. FrankHawley.com just did a Mickey Thompson day. They can do a whatever your business is day. Samtech.edu. Marvin Rodak, RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com, 817-924-6821. And Torque Calibration Services of Australia. This is for our Australian listeners down there. Matt Clark, who is a WFO patron and a diehard drag racer. He's in the points down there, but they're under near full lockdown, like extreme lockdown, like those of you remember. Think of our most extreme lockdown states here in the States. That's kind of what they got going on. And so he found WFO, and he just wanted to reach out to the world and say, like, hey, guys, we want to support drag racing. And so if you're down there in Oz and you need your torque wrenches calibrated, get on board with Torque Calibration Services, and I put their link in the chat section earlier on in the show. But you can find them on Facebook as well. And, of course, we'll be happy to refer you in the future. All right, let's see what everybody's got to say out there. Let's see what the comments are in the comment section. Donnie wants my autograph. My autograph is very gettable, Donnie. It is very gettable. I do not sign tons of autographs. I always find it to be a little odd. I have not gotten used to that. Every once in a while, like a little kid will come up and want my autograph, and I'm like, dude, you're asking the wrong guy. You're asking the wrong guy. But I do it because it's the path of least resistance. Let's see what this guy says. Do patronize the sponsors and tell them we appreciate them sponsoring these race shows. Thank you, Mopar Man. Well, Matt, is an amazing situation. Okay, so all of our sponsors, everybody knows that WFO, we have limited sponsors, because the sponsor relationship, like advertisers, sponsors, usually start as a personal relationship. We're not out there on WFO. We want to know the people. We want to make sure that they're doing great business, and we don't want to get tied up with something weird. And so it usually happens after a while, like Marvin Rodak, right? And Frank Hawley. These are like cornerstones of reliable drag racers. Total Seal, of course, Sam Tech. And when Matt reached out, he's like, man, I just want to be part of the U.S. Nationals on WFO. And I was blown away. Like, I didn't even know. It's like, man, you understand that the lion's share of our audience is in the United States. And we got some people in the UK, and we got some people down there in Oz, definitely. But I can't guarantee that you're going to make your money back. I can't. But I can guarantee you that you're going to be part of bringing the U.S. Nationals to our audience on this special show. And he was just so gracious because he understands that's how we keep the show going on. And so I was humbled and heartened. Pretty amazing. Jim Norris says, might see a Friday at Indy. Let's talk about that. The might maybes. Guys, you know, all right, so let's back up as we are in free-form time now. Hurricane Ida. Terrible disaster. We do not know exactly the effects just yet. The sun is coming up. I've got the news on in the background. I see some things. Many of our listeners had to flee. I've been watching Angel's posts. It should have been the first thing that I said on the show. It wasn't, because we were, you know, dealing with a live call at that moment. Kind of took me out of my game. I don't mind telling you. But someone who lives in hurricane country and has had to, you know, leave the U.S. Nationals with a Category 5 bearing down on my home, I know it's a horrible and uncomfortable feeling. So anybody who can't make it as a result of that, I totally get it. Totally get it. You know, family first, your house, your property, your friends, your neighbors, getting power on, all of that. But everyone outside of that horrific situation, this is going to be a very special year. It's, you know, we're back at full strength. We're back at full occupancy. John Force has made a plea to his fans, like, guys, come see the U.S. Nationals this year. And I expect people are they're going to take him up on that. It's special. And we've all seen how brittle and fragile all of our lives are, like everything, every aspect of it. Like, this could be, you know, it could be a last chance. I hate to say it that way, but, you know, you've got your health, you've got your life, you got some coins in your pocket, working for the city. Might as well come to Indy and take it in. So I think you should go. Like Tater, see you in Indy. I'm hoping for a win. This guy's got a factory showdown car. He's John Cerbone's teammate. They got Barton Power. And let me tell you, don't sleep on these guys. It could be a relatively new race winner out there. But also, you know, he's a farmer in Florida, and they grow potatoes. Who knew that? I didn't know. Prayers for everyone affected by the storm. Absolutely. Steve, see you in Indy. Yes. Scott, new Patreon. Great show, Indy. Will be great. Thanks to NHRA.TV. Cheers from Alberta, Canada. Thank you, Scott. Yes, got a lot of listeners in Canada also that don't need their torque wrenches checked by Matt down there in Australia. But if you do, spread the word. That's what a sponsorship is about. 17 pro mods entered at Indy, including Ricky Smith. Yeah, I was just looking at that. Car counts. I feel like the car counts are strong in every category. Pro mod was a little below what I appreciate. There was that recent rules change. I get it, but we'll have 16 cars. And everybody's going through different situations. Not all the categories can be at full strength at the same time. The best way to see your show is set the alarm clock, which I do. Thank you, Art. Way to go, Art. I appreciate you. Let's see. Without sponsors, no racing. Yes, without sponsors, no racing. Simple as that. Yanis Kamala final and Hemi, Daniel Semi. Maybe so. Jimmy, yeah, he's going to be back, right? You would imagine, with a vengeance. Chris King, what's up, Joe? See you in Indy. I'll see you, Chris. Let's make sure to have a chat. Donnie, you rock, Joe. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great show as always. Scott, great show, says Pickle Rick. Anthony's ready to win. Great interviews today. Yeah, we got a bunch in. See you Friday. And a lot of testing going on right now. Well, you got to come at least one day. Whether you want to come to the Total Seal Tech Talk. Yeah, say hi to KI. Chris from CIP1. I want to mention CIP1 on this show. If you are into air-cooled stuff, they're one of our banner ad sponsors on our WFOradio.com website. You can go on there. You can click on. But CIP1, if you're a VW guy, Volkswagen, if you're into that stuff, CIP1, KI, does a great job with it and comes on, talk about personal relationships. Comes on, it's like, hey, I want to help WFO. How can I help? Amazing stuff. Let's see. Brittany Force, top fuel win of the U.S. Nationals, and John Funny Car. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? John Force wins in Funny Car. Get her done. They are the men with a master plan. The crew chiefs she's talking about. Team Force rules. Great hearing from stellar crew chiefs. And there you go. That brings us up to date with all. Oh, it's Jolie Stanfield. Let's see what she says. Indy isn't the only big race of the year for the pros, but for sportsman racers as well. I dreamed of racing there for years and finally got an opportunity in 2019. It was amazing. Yeah, but how's everybody down there in Louisiana, Jolie? Are you guys okay? I hate to take racing off the front page headline, but hopefully you guys are all right. I guess the answer is she wouldn't be talking about racing if things weren't absolutely okay. Yes, Jolie. Yeah, Aaron Stanfield. Can the kid go out there and win the U.S. Nationals in Indy? I remember Aaron Stanfield running, was it Indy? He got his first round win? I think it was. I think it was against Jeg. I don't know. I tried, not going to make it, maybe for next year, says Steve Brenwald. Brenwald Media. Gatlinburg, Tennessee, checking in. Do you know if you're working the St. Louis race? I am working the St. Louis race. I'm working all the rest. I will be at all the rest, barring some sort of bizarre flare-up. I'm picking Jim Pancake to win the Hemi shootout. All right. Good note. Please come by the MSR and get some Cookie Man cookies. Could be your last chance. Oh, yeah. I was doing the keto, but now I have a reason to break it. I'll be at Maple Grove. Yes. Speaking of which, if there was no quarantine, I would be an Indy bucket list, Kev. Yeah. Well, next year we'll have another one. Like, not everybody's out at the same time. Look at this one. Look at Denise. You're a beautiful superstar host and a piece of eye candy. Told men and women love you. That's some Game of Thrones stuff right there. I had to put it up on the screen because it's, Denise. Everybody knows Sharon. She's great. All right, a couple other things I want to say. Congratulations to Don O'Neill. Way to go, Don. Congratulations. Don O'Neill is a friend of all racers for the most part. He's a gregarious personality, but, we've all lived the Don O'Neill do it for Diane O'Neill situation for the last 5 years. Like we've all lived it. And it's been, just a terrible personal tragedy. There's so many tragedies out there in the world and we know about many of them, but Don O'Neill, like, man, this guy, he's just taken it all, but done it well. And he goes out there at Bowling Green, top sportsman, wins the race. Way to go. Like, to me, that's the headline going into the U.S. Nationals. But also, Julie Natas got the win, and Ray Drew got the win. A top alcohol funny car. David Billingsley Randy Lynn ship. Speaking of nitro fish, Randy Lynn goes out there and gets stock eliminator done. So if memory serves me right, the last 2 final rounds for Randy Lynn, that is a runner-up and a win in her last 2 stock eliminator races. That's going to be pretty amazing. She can be at the big go, I would imagine. Watch out for Randy Lynn. But also Jackie Frick and Taylor Iacono getting the job done out there in Reading. A lot of divisional action all around the country this past weekend. They won on the same date. And Dan Pomponio winning in funny car. Like, it's another funny car win, an alcohol funny car for Dan Pomponio, who rocks a WFO sticker on his funny car and was one of the first, still rocking the old school WFOradio.com sticker. Way to go, Dan. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. But everybody is getting hot, getting ready. Defending race winner Sean Langdon. Defending race winner Jack Beckman, Guido, and John. Think about those guys. And Erica, who got the win over Hartford, and Scotty Polachek, Megan Meyer, Doug Gordon, the Emmons brothers. And I saw that, what was it? David Latino is not going to be able to make. Remember, the Jegs All-Stars are this weekend also. Jegs All-Stars, big part of this. And I think Jerry Emmons has taken Latino's spot in the All-Stars. Some folks that can't make it up there. And to Jerry Savoy and Angel and everybody down in the Bayou, Bobby Graham, everybody that is a big WFO radio listener. Like, we're thinking about you guys. I got it on. And just hope you were able to avoid the worst of the damage. Let's see. Don with a trend-setting engine combination. Yeah, that's the first win for the new combination. He got the job done with the new idler pulley, everything. Think about all that stuff. He's kicking blower belts, gets the new idler pulley or the new belt pulley. I don't want to overstate what it is. Nicole out there, happy for Don O'Neill and his win. Yeah, no, we're all fans of Don O'Neill. And if you race fans you get it, you don't understand it exactly. There's so much time that happens off air, off mic. So much time to get to know these guys. And Don has always volunteered to come up and announce a little Top Sportsman. And, you know, he wants the mic time, but he's just gives a lot to the sport. And the guy has just got a great win, and it's great. And I hope he keeps it going. Like, I hope the energy continues. You need to be working all the races every year. I would love for that to be the case. Love the John Cerbone. Keep rocking it. I would love to see John Cerbone run a pro stock car. Guys, you got to understand, like, John has been a veteran of drag racing for many, many years, back to the days of Flip Speed Shop. So he was out there with Kenny when Kenny won the Gator Nationals. Like, think about that, right? And that whole, like, Flips crew. Like that, there's a history there. But the guy has got some talent. He's winning in Factory Showdown. Man, I'd love to see him in a pro stock car. Why not? Donnie Wood, seeing Bristol. Yes, I love the idea that Brittany is already thinking about Bristol. Rick says, great show. Everything passed us, but down south got hit hard. Thank you, Jolie, for the update on Hurricane Ida. Hope to see you at ZMAX. Would love an autograph, Eddie. We'll make it happen. We're doing a big WFO appearance out there at ZMAX, by the way. Gio in Miami and others are coming out to the Bellagio of drag strips. Watch a little NHRA drag racing. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Checked in from our other guests. Guido says that was fun. Thank you. Thank you, Dean. And anybody that did not make it on the show, well, we'll try to make it in the future. But I understand everybody is getting ready. Look at this. Shop work calls. Stay safe. Be there. WFO. And everybody share this show so we can have the U.S. Nationals out there for everybody to think about for the rest of the week. And I know everybody in the NHRA media is getting geared up. We'll be on tomorrow with Alan Reinhart. 3 p.m. Remember, not the normal time. 3 p.m. And we're going to hit it hard. Reinhart will be at the shop. Look at Walt out there. See you in a couple days. Where you been, Walt? Haven't seen Walt in a long time. Drag racers are the best people there are. Yeah, well, I love to party with them. That's for sure. Who knows what they're like away from the track, but who cares? Great podcast, says Denise. And that's that. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Big thanks again to our single week sponsor, Torque Calibration Services of Australia. Thank you very much, Matt. I was going to try to get Matt on here. I think he fell asleep. That's all right. We'll get him on the Patreon show later on today. It's actually working out very, very well. And speaking of the Patreons, if you want to join them and support the show, patreon.com/WFO radio. Check us out there. where people pay a monthly fee to be involved in the show. I know, it's crazy. samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Marvin Rodak, 817-924-6821. Get a little Rodax coffee coming your way. Total Seal. Got a new hidden horsepower, very Australia themed lately. Ken McNamara does V8 supercars. They've got a very interesting way of keeping the playing field level down there. You should listen to the podcast. And Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Plus our own WFO Radio store, where you can get some free stickers or send them to the self-addressed stamped envelope, P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida, 33084. You can find all of this in the WFO store on WFOradio.com. Maybe get yourself a face covering. If you have to wear a face covering, why not wear a WFO Radio face covering? Exactly. And big thanks to all of our guests and everybody who made it possible for us to do this show. Thanks to Brittany Force via Skype. She got mad. Get mad at me. I didn't do nothing. What are you talking about? It's like, and I backtracked a lot. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow, 3 o'clock-ish with Reinhardt, and then in Indy. Book your tickets. How much could it be? See you there.